My brothers and sisters, sometimes the test of your character is not in how you treat the powerful, but how you treat the people who work under you. The ones who quietly serve, who stand behind the scenes, who make your life easier without ever asking for anything extra. Remember, the way you deal with them is written with the ink of sincerity in the sight of the Almighty. There are people who work all day, earn very little, and still return home with a smile because they carry hope in their hearts. But there are also those who exploit them, delay their salaries, cut their wages, or treat them as if they don't matter. Let me remind you today, those who work for you are a trust given by the Almighty. If you hurt them, you hurt yourself. If you delay their earnings, you delay your own blessings. When you talk about paying employees generously, the first point to understand is that generosity begins in the heart long before it appears in the wallet. It starts with the realization that the people who work for you are not stepping stones to your success. They are partners in your journey. Their effort, their time, and their strength are part of what allows your business, your home, or your projects to run smoothly. Many employers forget this. They assume that just because they are in a position of authority, they owe nothing beyond the bare minimum. But true character is revealed when you deal with those who cannot harm you, those who depend on you, those whom you can either uplift or break with a single decision. Paying generously means you have chosen the path of mercy over greed, compassion over calculation, and kindness over arrogance. Think of the people who work for you. Some wake up before sunrise, travel long distances, leave their children behind, and spend the better part of their lives serving your needs. Do you know their stories? Do you know their struggles? Some of them have bills they cannot pay, children who need school fees, parents who need medication, or homes that need repairs. They will never tell you these things, yet you may have the power to ease their burdens with a simple act of generosity. When you pay them well, you are not giving them charity, you are giving them what they rightfully deserve. They earned it with sweat, patience, and loyalty. They earned it with hours of work that you yourself may never have the stamina to perform. Generosity is not a favor, it is justice wrapped in kindness. There is also a deeper wisdom in giving more than expected. When you give generously, you soften your own heart. You become more grateful because generosity reminds you of how blessed you are. You begin to see your wealth not as something you own, but as something entrusted to you by the Almighty. He watches how you use it. He watches how you treat those under your care. And he promises that wealth given with sincerity will never diminish. In fact, it returns in ways you cannot imagine, sometimes in the form of unexpected opportunities. Sometimes in the form of peace, sometimes in the form of protection from harm. Generosity also creates a beautiful relationship between you and your employees. When they feel valued, they work with sincerity, not fear. They become loyal, not because they are trapped, but because they feel appreciated. And loyalty cannot be bought. It is earned through kindness. A workplace filled with respect and generosity becomes a place where blessings descend. The atmosphere becomes lighter, the work becomes easier, and the hearts become connected. Even your customers can sense the difference. Ultimately, paying generously is not about money. It is about character. It reflects who you are when no one is watching except the Almighty. If you choose generosity, you choose honor, you choose compassion, you choose a path that brings blessings into your life and into the lives of those who depend on you. The second key point is understanding that when you pay your employees generously, you are not only improving their lives, you are strengthening the very foundation of your own success. Many people fail to realize that a business or household does not grow because of one person alone. It grows because of a system of people working together, and each person plays a vital role in keeping things functioning smoothly. When an employer chooses to pay generously, it creates a sense of security and dignity in the employee's heart. That security becomes the fuel that drives them to work harder, think better, and serve with sincerity. An employee who is constantly worried about survival cannot give you their best, but one whose needs are met will always go the extra mile. They become emotionally invested in your success because they feel valued, not used. Generous pay also reduces stress and unnecessary turnover. A stressed employee is more prone to mistakes, illnesses, or even leaving the job altogether. But when you pay well, the stress melts away. They can breathe, they can focus, they can bring peace from their home into their workplace. A person who receives fair and generous wages is less distracted by worries and more present in their responsibilities. This automatically increases productivity and efficiency, which eventually benefits the employer more than anyone else. A peaceful worker creates a peaceful environment, and a peaceful environment becomes a breeding ground for growth. Moreover, generosity attracts goodness. When you treat people well, the Almighty sends people into your life who treat you well too. It becomes a cycle of blessings. On the other hand, when you are harsh and stingy, you often face people who mirror those qualities back to you. Life has a way of returning what you give. Generosity is not just an act, it is a seed. When you plant it in the heart of another human being, it grows into loyalty, respect, and gratitude. These are things money cannot buy. These are things that strengthen your reputation, your relationships, and your business in the long run. There is also a psychological element to generosity. When an employee receives a little more than they expected, it ignites motivation within them. They feel encouraged, they feel honored, they feel that their effort is seen. This feeling can completely transform the way they work. Instead of doing the bare minimum, they start doing more because they feel valued. They start taking ownership, not just following orders. And an employee who takes ownership becomes a priceless asset. Finally, paying generously reflects a deeper understanding of life. Wealth is a blessing, but it is also a responsibility. You are not tested by how much you earn. You are tested by how you distribute what you earn. Some people lose their blessings because they hold on too tightly. Others see their wealth multiply because they let it flow where it is deserved. When you choose to pay generously, you are choosing a life of abundance, peace, and divine favor. You are choosing to uplift another human being, and in doing so, you uplift yourself. The third key point is recognizing that the way you treat your employees becomes a reflection of your inner values, your faith, and your understanding of accountability. Many people assume that their kindness is only measured when dealing with family, friends, or those in positions of influence. But the truth is that your real character is revealed when you interact with those who rely on you for their livelihood. Paying your employees generously is not merely a financial decision. It is a moral and spiritual decision. It shows that you acknowledge the weight of the responsibility placed on your shoulders. You are not just giving a salary, you are shaping someone's life, reducing their hardships, and giving them hope. Consider the fact that an employee often spends more waking hours serving you than they do with their family. During those hours, their effort is directed towards building your comfort, your business, or your home. When you pay them well, you are acknowledging this sacrifice. You are saying, without words, that you appreciate every moment they spend working for you. This silent message penetrates the heart far deeper than anything you could verbally express. It tells them that their work is meaningful, their time is honored, and their presence is valued. Another important aspect is the psychological and emotional impact of generous treatment. Human beings are driven by more than just physical needs. They are driven by dignity. When an employer pays generously, they are not only providing ease in the form of money, they are providing dignity. This dignity becomes a source of empowerment for the employee. They begin to walk with confidence, they speak with respect, and they work with a sense of pride. Their self-worth increases. And when a person's self-worth increases, so does the quality of their work. They start taking responsibility without being asked. They start developing a deep sense of loyalty. They begin to see themselves as partners in your success rather than merely workers fulfilling tasks. Generosity also cultivates an atmosphere of trust. Trust is a priceless currency in any workplace or home. When employees trust that their employer is fair and generous, they are more open, honest, and transparent. They communicate better. They raise concerns earlier. They protect your interests more sincerely. Trust reduces conflict. It reduces fear. It reduces resentment. A workplace that lacks trust becomes toxic, but one built on generosity and fairness becomes a place where peace spreads. This peace attracts more success, more stability, and more harmony. Finally, paying generously reminds you of your own blessings. It keeps you grounded. It keeps your heart soft. It protects you from arrogance. When you willingly share your wealth, you begin to appreciate that the ability to give is in itself a blessing. You realize that your success is not solely your own doing but a gift from the Almighty. This realization develops humility within you. Humility brings barakah. Humility brings wisdom. And humility brings peace. When you treat your employees generously, you are not just elevating their life, you are purifying your own heart. The fourth key point is understanding that generosity toward your employees is an investment that returns not only in this world but also in the life to come. Every act of kindness you show, every extra amount you give, every moment you choose compassion over calculation, these become seeds planted for your future. Many people believe that giving more will reduce their wealth, but in reality, the opposite is true. What you give with sincerity is never wasted. It may leave your hand, but it never leaves your life. It returns in forms you may not recognize immediately: protection from harm, unexpected opportunities, healing during moments of difficulty, or blessings that descend silently and continuously. When you pay generously, you are not losing money, you are opening doors of divine favor. Think about the prayers you earn from an employee whose needs are met, whose burdens are eased, and whose heart feels respected. A sincere prayer from someone who is struggling is powerful. It can bring light into your home, mercy into your business, and ease into your life in ways you cannot measure. Some people succeed not because of their talent or strategy, but because someone they helped whispers their name in a prayer at night. These prayers are treasures. They are a currency of the soul that bring blessings long after the money you gave has been spent. When you uplift someone who works for you, you are building a legacy of goodness that reaches far beyond your lifetime. Furthermore, generosity protects you from oppression. Withholding someone's dues, delaying their salary, or underpaying them is not just unfair. It is a form of injustice. And injustice brings darkness. It removes blessings. It creates hidden problems that surface later. But when you give freely and fairly, you protect yourself from being counted among the unjust. You keep your conscience clear, your heart clean, and your path open. The Almighty is just, and He never allows an act of fairness to go unnoticed. Generosity also creates a ripple effect. When you treat your employees kindly, they carry that kindness into their homes. They treat their children better, they speak more gently to their spouses, and they bring more positivity into their community. Your generosity becomes the starting point of a chain reaction of goodness. One act can inspire another, and soon your single gesture may transform the environment of multiple households. Imagine being the reason someone sleeps peacefully at night. Imagine being the cause of a child smiling because his parent received enough to buy what they had been praying for. These small moments build a world of gratitude around you. In the end, paying employees generously is not only about business ethics, it is about preparing for the day when every action will be brought before the Almighty. On that day, every fair payment, every early salary, every extra amount given with compassion will stand as a witness for you. And every unjust act, every withheld wage, every act of stinginess will stand against you. So choose generosity, choose goodness. Choose to build a record filled with acts that bring light into your life and into the lives of others. When you pay generously, you are writing your story with compassion, and that story will follow you into eternity. The fifth key point is realizing that paying your employees generously creates a culture of compassion, growth, and excellence, something that transforms your entire environment from the inside out. When an employer chooses generosity as a principle, it becomes more than just a financial decision. It becomes a culture that shapes every interaction, every policy, and every future decision. People begin to feel safe, valued, and respected. This sense of safety becomes the foundation for creativity and long-term stability. When employees know they are treated fairly and kindly, they are not afraid to express ideas, take initiative, or introduce improvements. They begin to see your success as their own because the environment pushes them to think beyond their basic duties. This is the hidden power of generosity. It unlocks potential that would otherwise remain buried under fear, stress, or insecurity. A culture built on generosity also attracts the right people. When employees speak well of their workplace, others notice. When a business becomes known for fairness and kindness, talented individuals are drawn to it because they recognize that such an environment will appreciate their contributions. Your workplace becomes a magnet for people who are sincere, skilled, and hardworking. These are the people who elevate your business to new heights. On the other hand, a stingy or harsh environment repels talent and attracts people who work only for survival, not growth. Generosity builds a positive reputation that spreads further than you can imagine. People trust a generous employer. Customers feel it, suppliers feel it, and the community feels it. This trust becomes a priceless asset. Moreover, generosity inspires personal development. When an employer shows kindness, employees feel motivated to become better versions of themselves. They start setting personal goals because they no longer feel stuck. They start improving their skills because they feel appreciated. They learn to treat others with the same respect they receive. This creates a chain of positive behavior that enhances the overall functioning of the workplace. You will notice more smiles, more initiative, and more unity. These are not things you can buy with policies or rules. They grow naturally from the seed of generosity. Another powerful aspect of creating a generous culture is that it reduces hidden tensions. In many workplaces, unspoken frustrations build up over time due to unfair wages, delayed payments, or harsh treatment. These frustrations lead to silent resentment, which affects the quality of work and the atmosphere. But when generosity becomes the standard, these tensions do not have space to grow. Employees feel heard without speaking. They feel valued without asking. They feel respected without demanding. This creates an environment where peace becomes the norm rather than the exception. Finally, a generous culture reflects your vision of life. It shows that you believe in uplifting others, not just climbing alone. It shows that you understand that true success is shared success. It shows that your goals are not limited to earning wealth, but include building hearts, shaping lives, and contributing to society. When you choose generosity as a principle, you leave behind a legacy. Years later, people may forget your name, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Your employees will remember your kindness long after they have moved on, and your generosity will continue to echo in the form of prayers, goodwill, and blessings that follow you throughout your life.